All right, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast, and I am here with my good friend Collin Monahan. As you'll know, Ben is off. He joined the Navy, and he's about a week in. So once I get some more information about where you can send letters and stuff, I'll share that. But I'm excited to have Collin here with me today. Collin knows Ben as well. He knows Ben from our time at Parkside, playing some soccer together. And now doing some grilling and barbecuing together. So, Collin, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Greg. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, no, you're the first one, man. You're the first guest that we've had on the podcast. Congratulations.
Honored, honored.
Yeah, yeah. So, we've connected quite a bit over the past few years since we started the business and stuff. Because you're a big, at least from what we've seen, is a big barbecuer and griller. So, I have a lot of questions for you. I know a little bit about you, but for like our listeners, why don't you give us a little background on who you are, where you're from, and how long have you been doing this barbecue and grilling thing?
For sure. Yeah. So obviously, as you mentioned, we've known each other and going on over 10 years now, at least.
Yeah.
I'm just your small town dude from East Troy, Wisconsin, currently living in New Berlin with my wife and daughter. I've been grilling, I guess, for close to 20 years, really. Started really early in high school, simply because I was bouncing back and forth between parents' houses. They were gone with work and all this and all that, and I was hungry. So bear had to be fed, and
Yeah.
I was sick and tired of the box stuff. So we started messing around with the grills, and I cooked a lot in the kitchen as well, but the grill is my sanctuary, man. That's where I love it.
Do you remember what your first experience was on the grill?
Yeah. So we started off, with the frozen burger patties that you get and, the
Oh yeah.
hot dogs and stuff. Kept it simple, right?
Yeah.
Started to successfully get those down, starting to add seasonings, flaring them up a bit. And then in college, I had like a huge kick where like I was making these like Juicy Lucy's and stuffed burgers all the time. Doing a bunch of different like gourmet grilled sandwiches and stuff. I loved it. So
You're doing
that's
this
kind of
on
where I started.
campus? Like on
Well, we had
like
the
on
house
campus
off
at
there.
college? Yeah.
Yeah, I had the house
I,
off campus, so
yeah, I never got the invite, man. I'm sorry.
you were out of school by then.
Oh, probably, yeah. I was the old guy on the team. No, that's awesome. So you've been doing it for about 20 years. You kind of started by yourself. Did you have anybody like in your family, like, parents or, grandparents, aunts, uncles that did it too?
Yeah. So nobody in my family really smoked meats, but
Okay.
my dad grilled steak all the time. Like he was awesome at it. So I was always messing around with him, grilling the steaks. And he's still a steak master there.
Yeah.
I can probably outshine him, but he's got a few years and the experience there, so he makes a mean steak.
Oh, very nice. So was it gas grill, charcoal? What did you start with?
Dude, charcoal from day one. It's
Okay.
been charcoal from day one. I messed around with gas for a little bit, and like I
Yeah.
hated how it tasted. I
Yeah.
hated how hot it got. I just couldn't handle it. Right? I just something about being able to control your fire to
Mhm.
produce, some quality food. It's
Yeah.
always been my niche.
Nice. So yeah, we talk a lot about on our show, kind of the reason behind you started grilling, or barbecuing. It sounds for you, it was almost out of necessity to feed yourself. But why do you still do it? Why you still love doing it?
All right. So the biggest thing for me now is my life is so fast paced, right? So when I'm like, hey, I'm putting something on the smoker, that's an automatic like 8 to 12 hours. I'm
Uh,
not doing anything, right?
Nice.
So I'm sitting at my house enjoying my relaxation.
Nice. Yeah, and I noticed that you not only do like the meats and stuff, but I've had the privilege of trying some of your Bloody Mary mix. So you do a
Yeah.
lot of vegetables too. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? How did you get into smoking your own vegetables, and then how did the Bloody Mary stuff come along?
So that was super interesting. Actually, we like to try different restaurants and go out all the time. We like Bloodies, love them, love Bloodies, love trying new food all over the place. So we just really got like worn out on a specific brand. I'm not going to call them out, but
Okay, yeah.
uh, pretty popular brand in almost all the bars, but we got really just tired of it. So we're like, all right, let's try our own, like I was smoking a couple pork butts one day and I was like, grill's hot. Let's throw some tomatoes and jalapenos on there and blend them up and see what happens.
Mhm.
And then from there, we just like slowly tweak the recipe and make sure we got the consistency down. And that's been kind of a hit.
Are you still producing them? Are you still selling them, or what are you just giving away as gifts?
Yeah, it's kind of like per customer order. Like
Okay.
when people ask me for them, I'll be like, yeah, I'll make you some. But um, usually it's actually about that time of the year where I've actually last couple weeks I've gotten some requests. So I'll probably
Yeah.
start cranking some jars out.
Well, yeah, you could put me down for a jar too. Yeah, it's good stuff, and it's just like I find it so fascinating how people get kind of, they find these things, they just try it, and then people love it, and then that's kind of how we started the business too. Is like, hey, we were making our own stuff, giving it away, and then slowly evolved from there. So I think that's fantastic. So I kind of know what you have, at least from I've seen. You competed at our competition the past 2 years. You're our first winner last year. You took overall champion and you got the championship belt. I'm a little disappointed you don't have it with you right now. But
Yeah, you know what? It's downstairs. I can bring
yeah,
it
no,
in.
I'm just joking, man. So what's your setup look like right now? What do you got in the backyard? I know you got some Webers, but what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I keep it pretty simple. I think I have a Weber Performer, and then I have the 18-inch Weber Smoky Mountain, and I mean, those things are so versatile. I do everything on them. I don't have to get all fancy with all this extra equipment. I'm just kind of one of those bare bones guys. Like, give me the minimums and I'll make it great.
Yeah. So you said you got a performer. What made you get that? Because I know the performer for those out there, and correct me if yours is different, but it has kind of the propane starter in there, so it helps to start the coals up. It's built in there. You got a nice little table there too. What made you get that over just a regular kettle?
So that was actually a birthday gift from my wife and my parents. It's the same grill my dad has. It was just the newer version, so it has
Yeah,
that the metal table instead of that plastic one.
yeah,
So that I was very comfortable cooking on that already because that's what I've been using at my parents' house for when I used to live there growing up. So I didn't ask for it. That's what they
no,
gave me.
that's
I took
yeah.
it.
Sometimes those are the best ones. And then what made you get the Weber Smoky Mountain? You
Yeah, little backyard family feud cook-off.
okay?
My father-in-law wanted to have a little backyard showdown, so
Uh-huh.
of course I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get a smoker finally, and because I was just
Yeah,
doing everything on the kettle there, and I wanted to kind of take that next step into a specific action with the smoker and not just
yeah,
hybriding my kettle for one.
yeah,
Both work great, by the way, but
yeah.
they do
Absolutely.
kind of different performance.
Mhm.
Um, so I bought it basically because someone challenged me. So I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. What was the challenge? Like what were you cooking on at first?
We actually did hot and fast pork butts.
Okay. So you used a Weber Smoky Mountain. Your first cook on it was a pork butt,
Yeah.
and you're just doing some like shredded pork sandwiches or something like that.
Yeah, we basically we were testing out how the hot and fast cook
Yeah.
worked because neither one of us had done it before, and we're like, hey, let's try to do this in 4.5 hours. And
Yeah.
um, it's a pretty bold move, but it
Yeah.
honestly wasn't terrible. Like there was a couple of things you could definitely do to tweak them, like injections, but for sure would have helped
Okay.
on that. But the smoke flavor was there. Tenderness was pretty decent. Some of it was a little dry, some of it wasn't. But it was also I've never cooked on the Smoky Mountain before, so it was kind of I was jumping into a deep end on that one.
You just dove right in, huh?
Yeah,
Did you season it at all?
yeah. Obviously, fire for effect, man. That's my go-to pork pie rub.
Nice, nice. Well, we don't we promote the business a little bit, but yeah, you're not getting paid to say that, so just
No,
so the
I am
audience
not.
knows.
That's honestly, I think I've probably gone through like 10 jars of that. Like
Yeah.
that's my go-to pork rub.
Nice. Well, we appreciate that. So who won the competition? Was it you or your father-in-law?
So based on the results of the family members. I had more of the smoke flavor and nice bark and ring. And then Randy's was a little bit more juicy because I forgot to pour the au jus back into it. So
Yeah, all right, all right.
he soaked his back in the au jus, and it was, I mean, they both were pretty tasty. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
overall for a 4.5 hour pork butt, it was pretty darn good.
Yeah. So what temp? Like I'm intrigued now. What temp were you guys going? And
Oh
what smoker
man,
was he using?
he
Was he
just
using?
uses kettle. Yeah,
Oh,
he has like
okay.
a first generation performer. He's got an old one.
Okay.
Um, we had to be up closer to 350, 375.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Now, how were you keeping temp? Did you have something like a probe in there? What were you using?
Yeah, I used at the time I just had like the Weber hub um probes and whatever the smart hub attachment. And he
Okay.
had like a Genesis 2 attach some Weber probes, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And what were you using? Like you had the water pen in there. Did you have anything other than water in there, or were you using that one at all?
So for the hot and fast, I didn't do the water in the pan. I just sprayed it a bunch.
Okay. Keeping it a little drier so it cooks a little faster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise you can't really get the Weber Smoky Mountain like super hot without
Right.
not having water in there.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. Yeah, I haven't done the hot and fast. Like I prefer to take my time. But I love the Smoky Mountain. I got one as well, and I just find it keeps temps so well, even in the winters here in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I could fill that thing up and let it sit for a couple hours, and it's going to keep temp really well. So yeah, I'm along with you. I just it's so versatile, and you can use it so many different ways. But well, that's awesome. And I've like just by seeing you cook a little bit, I know you like to put a little heat into kind of
love it.
yeah, into your your sauces, whatever you're cooking. And I will say, last year when you did your ribs for the competition, um, now I didn't know whose was whose because they were just bringing them up and I was passing them to the judges, but everybody loved the heat on it. I just remember that because you ended up getting the highest scores because people love the heat that you put on the ribs. So
Yeah,
what's kind of your go-to like spice that you like to heat your meat up with?
sure. So from my previous job, I used to travel a lot and I was always in the South. And one of my dad's clients down there had a bunch of ghost peppers
Okay.
and they like dehydrate them and finally ground them up like just like a coarse black pepper. So
Yeah.
I've had these jars like shakers of like finely ground ghost pepper for like 6 years now. I just sprinkle it on everything.
Really?
Like so that's a
Is that it
go-to for me.
was that the secret ingredient?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember what I put on any of that stuff last year. That was such a blur.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it went by pretty fast, even though, it was kind of a 5 or 6 hour cook. For ribs, it's a little difficult, if you're doing a long cook, but yeah, it went by pretty fast. But no, I just remember them liking the heat. And then this year you came up to me and you let me taste, the sauce you were going to be putting on. I think you had a little, like raspberry chipotle or something like that. Something like
Yeah, it was a raspberry habanero glaze.
habanero. Okay. Yeah.
It was a red
Yeah.
habanero. We picked it
Red
at the
habanero.
farmer's market the day before.
Yeah, nice. So with your affinity for heat, where'd you get that from? Like, was it something growing up that you always like stuff hot, or was it like, hey, as you started growing and trying new flavors, you just found yourself going to kind of more hot stuff?
Dude, I've always loved hot stuff. Like
Yeah.
always. It's just been my jam. Um, as a little kid, like we'd go out to get chicken wings, like I want the hottest buffalo sauce.
Yeah.
And from there, like obviously there wasn't like a ton of different style hot sauces, a
Yeah.
while back. So now
Hmm.
there's all these crazy peppers out.
Yeah.
They're just making them for willingness to try it. So at work, we always do these crazy hot challenges, and
Oh yeah.
it's good fun. And I like hot stuff.
Yeah. Nice. What's one dish that you've put some heat on it that maybe it turned out better than you expected it to do? I'll put you on the spot here.
Um, yeah, no, that's a good question. I put heat on everything. So
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's really turned out pretty well, we experimented with kind of like a smoked corn dip this year.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't add any extra heat to it. It was just all the peppers that were grilled were added in there, and we did like smoked habanero and jalapenos in it, and it had some kick, but it was
Yeah.
so good.
You said corn dip.
Yeah. So
Like,
I smoked the cream cheese, smoked the corn cobs and the vegetables.
okay.
Um, then we pretty much mix it all together and eat it with some Tostitos or
Nice.
like Fritos are my jam. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like puree it up? Like, did you put it all in like a blender and then put it over, or did you just mix it up with the cream
No,
cheese?
just in the bowl because the cream cheese is warm, so it
Ah,
blends pretty easily. Um,
nice.
but we had like the only seasonings we added that are like garlic salt and pepper and
Yeah.
your classics, GSP.
Yeah. So a corn dip, I've never tried that. So you smoked the pepper, you smoked the corn, you smoked the cream cheese, and then once it's all done, you just mix it all together, chop it up, mix it all together.
Yep. And then so most of the seasoning that's in that is actually added to the cream or yeah, the cream cheese when you smoke it. So
Yeah.
just like you posted in your blogs before that smoked
Yeah.
cream cheese block,
Yeah.
same thing. Start with that essentially and then add like the charred corn and
Okay.
vegetables and just kind of
Then
make it
mi-
garden fresh.
so then mix it all together. Like, do you mix it in a cast iron, a tin? What do you put it in?
Just like a big bowl, mixing bowl.
Yeah. Mixing bowl.
Because it's good warm and it's good cold. So mix it
Okay.
when it's warm, eat it then, and then as it sits out in room temp and
Yeah.
even after the fridge, it's
So,
tasty.
oh, nice. I'll have to try that. I haven't tried that before. Um, I've never put corn in my dip, so I'll say that. So so it's kind of we'll stay on the track of grilling and barbecue. What's your favorite thing to throw on the smoker? If you got a day alone to yourself, you got a little prep time. What's that one meal? What's that one dish that you are going to get after it?
Hands down, beef ribs.
Beef ribs. Okay. Why
Yeah.
why why
Yeah.
you say that?
I don't know, man. There's just something about them. Uh, I love how that they're a different style cook than like pork ribs.
Yeah.
Um, and just the tenderness and flavor of them are so good. And it's
Now,
really cool to see like the dino bone when it shrinks and stuff. So,
the big old Donald ribs there.
yeah.
Yeah, they are a little hard to find around here in Wisconsin unless you kind of ask your butcher or you get lucky and you go into the butcher shop and they have some already cut up. How do you typically go about getting yours?
I just randomly find them once in a while, right? Like
Okay.
I'm never like seeking them. Like 'cause if I
Yeah,
find it, I'm like, oh,
you're gonna get
grab
them.
one. So,
Nice. So how do you prepare yours then? What do you do to prep it? And then I'm assuming you're using the Smoky Mountain. How you setting that up? What kind of woods are you using if you're smoking it?
yeah.
Talk us through that process for you.
Yeah. So my beef ribs, I kind of keep it simple, almost kind of Texas style, like salt and pepper.
Salt, pepper.
Um, I use that hardcore carnivore black too on those just to get
Yeah.
that real black bark, right?
Yeah.
That helps. Plus, it's got a good peppery bite in it.
Yeah.
So I keep my beef ribs pretty simple in the seasonings, and then the mountain. I set up about 3/4 of the chimney baskets, and I like Jealous Devil, like the lump
Yeah.
charcoal.
Hmm.
I think it holds heat really well and burns really good. Um, and for the wood, I'm usually comboing some apple and cherry, or even once in a while I'll do like peach and hickory.
Okay. Where do you get your woods from? Is it just the store stuff, or do you have somebody that that's close by that has like an orchard and you go get it there? How do
Right.
you get in your wood?
I usually support the local like Ace Hardwares and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty good friends with the dudes from True Value that were there this year, and
Yeah. I'm hoping to get them on the podcast, so hopefully we'll see
yeah,
them.
it's good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, they're good people there. Okay, well, so your dino, your beef ribs, you're doing salt, pepper. You're doing a little bit of that hardcore carnivore you're talking about. That probably gives you like the heat you're looking for from that pepper, right? You get a little bit of
Yep.
heat from that. And then, are you spritz them at all when you put them on there?
Yeah.
What are you filling your water, bowl up with anything different than water?
Um, yeah, it's kind of per cook, really. Like some days I feel like doing something weird, some days I
Uh,
don't. It's mostly just water in the bowl.
Okay.
Once in a while, I'll pour like a little apple cider vinegar in there or something, but
Sure.
I'll do about like a half a bowl of the water in there. And then the spritz, I bounce back and forth between just water, and then I'll do like an apple cider vinegar, orange juice, water combo.
Okay.
So it depends on the how I'm feeling that day or what's in the
Oh,
fridge, I guess.
yeah, I know. Yeah, we know it's sometimes depending on what we have in the house and the cabinets and the fridge. So yeah, we totally know what you feel there. So what um next question I have for you? What's one thing that is like you would love to cook but you just haven't done it yet?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I've been seeing some really cool videos online of these like crazy elevated cooks. They're
Yeah,
doing
okay.
like they're taking like a beef roast and making some crazy shit with it.
Okay.
Um, I haven't done just like oh, I guess I have. I did like one chuck roast once,
Yeah.
and I made like these smoked French dips, and they're awesome. But I
Okay.
want to try that a few different things, not just like make it for a French dip. I want to maybe do like a smoked chuck roast to make a chili or, something like that. I haven't done just like grabbed like a slab of like just mediocre meat and
Yeah.
make something out of it.
Okay. So something like that, open pit, open fire,
Yeah.
kind of primal style. Okay. Good, man. Well, we're coming to the end here. We do have a lot of new barbecuers and grillers that listen to the podcast. You've been doing it for a while. So if you could go back um, to, Colin, when he's first getting started, grilling and barbecuing, what's one piece of advice that you would give yourself back then when you're first starting?
Um, I guess like knowing that failure is inevitable. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
like one of like the first times I like smoked a whole chicken, like it was awful.
Yeah.
Um, but that's also because like I chose not to do research and figure out how to do it,
Sure.
and there wasn't things like the
Yeah.
Blanket
Yeah.
Barbecue podcast and website, right? So
Yeah. You
I
had to
just kind
go
of went with it, and I
search.
didn't know people that did it, so I just
Yeah.
like did it and
Yeah.
quickly realized that that's not how it worked, and like all of a sudden I waited hours and hours to eat chicken, and it sucked. So I guess just knowing like failure is inevitable.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm sure you've been there too, like waiting
Yeah.
12 hours for a pork butt and all of a sudden it's not great. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
disappointing, but
Yeah.
um just keep going at it. Like
Yeah.
you don't learn anything until you fail at something. Right? That's how
Yeah.
you get better at stuff. So
Yeah.
just
No,
take your
that's
failures for learning lessons, really.
yeah, that's a great tip. I often see, or when people approach us to say, hey, what kind of grill or what kind of barbecue do you recommend for somebody who's just starting? I'll be like, one, go out to Facebook Marketplace and go find something for cheap because you don't know if you're going to do it. But you just see all these, kettle grills or smokers out there because people give it, one or two cooks and then they just decide it's not for them because it didn't turn out well. And to your point, man, you just got to keep trying. The only way you're going to get better at anything is, you keep trying. And I love it. You said, failure is inevitable, especially when you're cooking food, when anything can go wrong. The fire's too hot, the meat dries out, you don't have the right spices or whatever. So that's great advice. And then last piece for you, man. What is like the essential grilling or barbecuing tool that you can't live without?
Yeah. Grill brush.
Okay.
Like I think it's important to have a really clean grate all the time.
Yeah.
I've used some other people's grills that like I open up the lid, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like no
But
wonder why this doesn't work out. So I think
but is
keeping
it
your grill
is
grates
it
clean is like really important.
well, what do you say to people that say, well, that's where the flavor is?
It's not.
It should come from
Um,
the meat. Yeah.
yeah, no, well, I mean that and just like if you're using smoke, like most of your flavor is coming from there.
Yeah.
Um, you just shouldn't have like grease just flying all over the place. Like you start grease fires and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think if you're getting flavor from your grease left on your grates, you probably don't know how to flavor your meat very well to begin with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great tip. Yeah. I will. always clean my grates before I put something else on there. Usually afterwards too. If I'm done cooking, and the smoker's still or the grill's still hot, you can get a lot of that stuff off while it's heated there, and then let it cook off a little bit more, whatever's left over while you're cooling it down. So that's a great tip. Yeah, have a good grill brush. Go do your research out there. Do you have one that you use that you would recommend?
Um, I mean,
Unofficially,
I
of
just kind of
course.
go with the classic wire brush, but
Yeah.
I've tried like doing the wooden ones where you like burn into this.
Yeah.
So that takes a while to season it
Okay.
in there, but like I kind of use a bit of both, but
Yeah.
I want to try that foam sponge
The
brush thing.
fire
But
rescue one that you
yeah,
see everywhere
I want
on
to try it.
Facebook. Yeah. Well, it's got a lot of good reviews, but yeah, I'm the same way. I've got a nice spiral wire brush. I know a lot of people kind of, you hear the horror stories about like the straight edge ones where they might come off in your meat. Well, it kind of goes back to, well, if you're cleaning your grates, and you're then oiling them after you scrub them down, like you shouldn't have any residue or any additional wire brush,
Yeah, 100%.
metal pieces on there. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I got a spiral wire brush that I use before and after each cook. I've never had an issue, but it could happen, I guess, that you could get some wire in your
Yeah,
food.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Colin, man, I really appreciate you jumping on here. A lot of good stuff. I learned some stuff, corn dip, and I'm going to try that out. But yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on here, and I'm sure I'll see you around. But if people want to follow you, I think you got some. Are your pages public or are they private?
Ah, that's a good question. They might be private. I think my
Okay.
Instagram's private. I don't really go on my Facebook too often, but
Okay.
I think they're linked anyways. But
All right.
yeah, I don't even know what my hashtag or anything is, dude. I'm so out of the loop with that stuff. But
Yeah, no worries,
put
man.
my name really, I guess it should
Yeah,
be there.
yeah, yeah. And I know your amateur competition team name is Smoking Doobies,
Yes,
so
sir.
you might be able to find them by putting that hashtag out there too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So it's punny, but it has a meaning, right? So
yeah,
my
it
wife's
does.
last name was Doobie.
Oh, was it
So
okay?
yeah, so the joke was like, hey, you can keep your last name in the family if I use it for our smoking team.
Okay,
So
that's pretty good, man. Yeah, no, well, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll put a link out there if you want us to in the notes here. But yeah, man, Colin, I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your stuff with us, and I'll look forward to seeing what you got cooking up next, man.
yeah, anytime, man. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Colin.
Thanks. Have a good night.